Hey guys, it is Elle, and today we're going to read about Jackson Stacker. This is a new case to me, but it's not a new case. This happened back in July of 2021, although it's gotten a lot of traction lately in the news. So, what happened with this kid? He was 25 years old. This was in Australia, and he loved to party. Who doesn't at that age? He was having a good time, having fun, living the van life, which is popular now. And he disappeared in July 2023. They believe it was probably July 23rd was the day that he passed. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that because it's weird. Um, his body was found in a paddock. His his van was found at a rest stop. His body was found not too terribly far from the van, but not close either. And there was, according to the reports, a huge hunting knife sticking out of his chest. That's odd, right? Right there, I'm sure all of you are getting red flags, as did I. But crazy as it may sound, the police decided that that was a suicide right away. They said that Mr. Jackson was involved in, they believed he was homeless, he was an alcoholic, he was a drug user, so they just kind of flipped to suicide. If you ask me, it sounded like they didn't want to put a lot of time into the case and just wrote it off as a suicide. Because it sounds like they didn't, you'll see why I say that. It sounds like they didn't investigate really well. Why do I say that? All right, so after his body was found a month later, after he went missing under a tree in a paddock, um, there were parts of his body that were found long afterwards. One of his teeth, some of his finger bones still out there. There was a phone found out there. Now, his phone had been missing. The weird thing about the phone, this case is really weird, which is why I wanted to read on it. The weird thing about the phone is that they believe Jackson committed suicide on July 23rd of 2021. His phone, though, for 4 days after that, was pinging in a town called Grafton. Now, Jackson was found in a town called by Byron Bay, I believe it was. Yes, by Barron Bay. Sorry, Barron Bay. Or was it Byron Bay? Oh, forgive me. I'll put it in the comments. I'll look that one up. Um, but he was found in one place and his phone was pinging in another for 4 days after he was supposedly passed. Then his phone ended up back in the Byron area and was pinging up until August 2nd. Now, he was supposed to have passed July 23rd. So that's odd, right? His van, like I said, was found in a rest stop, not too terribly far from his body. And in the van, everything had been ransacked. So it leaves a lot of questions. And one of the things we're going to read about, and one of the things that people are questioning was his phone left in the van, and then the van was ransacked, and then somebody took his phone. It's plausible. The other flip side to that is, did Jackson have his phone with him when he committed suicide, was murdered, and somebody took the phone? So we're going to ask about a lot of this stuff because it's very strange. All right, so on the flip side of all that weirdness I just told you about, there is another side to this that does possibly point more towards suicide. So let's explore that. That would be that his friends say that Jackson was acting very emotional for 4 weeks leading up to his death. He was having a lot of emotional ups and downs. And on top of that, Jackson did drugs. He was doing LSD, so hallucinating quite a bit probably, and he was smoking a lot of pot. One thing to note that he had been previously in the hospital for drug-fueled psychosis. So he was doing drugs and not just a little bit. He was going over what he should have been. Did that lead to a suicide? Did he develop some sort of hallucinations and actually stab himself in the chest? It's, to me, highly unlikely. That's a really rare way for people to commit suicide. Really, really rare way. So I don't know. I just kind of doubt it, but we're going to read on it just because it's so weird. So here we go. That's your intro to the whole thing. We're just going to start by asking what happened. What happened to Jackson Stacker? And then we'll go into some more specifics. What happened to Jackson Stacker? So let's see where we are with this. Huh, that is the Queen of Wands. That is somebody watching. I always think of the Queen of Wands as a watcher, watching, active. Um, and I can go two ways on this. Queen of Wands also takes responsibility for her own actions because nobody else is ordering her around. She is a queen and she is creating her own life and actions around her. So let's question that a little bit more. There is a woman showing up. I'm going to throw that out there. Let's question a little bit more about what happened here. And then we'll move on into a murder or suicide. I mean, at this point, with a knife sticking out of your chest, it's one or the other, right? So a murder or I'm sorry, what happened? Let's do this. Okay, so I do see some depression there, and we knew there was depression. Queen, was there a woman involved? And that was the reason he was depressed. I don't know what his sexuality was, if he was into women. It doesn't, nobody ever really said that. Um, what I've got is a woman showing up, and I do have depression. So that is leaning me a little bit towards, him being upset over a woman, or something that happened with a woman. Let's just go into, was this murder foul play? Was this foul play with Jackson Stacker? Was this a foul play situation with Jackson Stacker? Foul play. I don't think so. And I mean, I do think I think it was foul play. I don't think it was a suicide. The reason I say that is because here's a guy with a knife. He's got a sword. I mean, and it looks to me like it was foul play. Um, I don't see that being a suicide. When I ask foul play and I've got a guy popping up with holding a sharp object, and he was stabbed in the chest, I'm gonna lean towards foul play at this point. That's what it really, really looks like to me. Let me ask suicide. Suicide. So go ahead and let me know about suicide. I'm really leaning towards foul play. Suicide for Jackson. This is a card of juggling different two different possibilities, um, two different things going on. It's interesting. It's something he contemplated, is what I see. Let me get some clarity on that. Clarity on Jackson committing suicide. No, I don't think he did. Because why? Because this is the Seven of Wands, and this is something coming at him and him trying to defend himself. So it really is, while I do think he may have entertained the thought of suicide before, I'm not seeing that out of the picture, but I do feel like somebody came at him and overpowered him. Why? Because we've got this and we've got the king. with a sharp object when I asked about foul play. I'm definitely leaning more towards foul play. That's what it looks like to me. So when we asked what happened, it looks like foul play. Somebody coming at him with a sharp object, him trying to defend himself. And on top of that, we do have a woman involved as well. So I don't know the situation of who may have been involved in this, but I see a man and a woman, not just a man, involved. Let me ask about the parents were thinking it was a homeless person around Byron that was involved in Jackson's death. So let me ask about that. I'm just going to kind of read on their questions, the things that they're wondering about. A homeless person around Byron. Homeless person around Byron being involved in Jackson's death. Again, I feel like there were two people. I do. This is the Two of Swords, which is why I say that. And we've got the Two of Pentacles a little bit ahead of that. So we get this two theme. Then we've got a queen and a king, right? Two. So we've got two, two, two again and again and again. Might not even been their first murder, to be honest with you. Only way I say that because now I'm being drawn to these two cups that are standing, which make me think of the two people, and three cups on the ground. So he could have been one of three. Sometimes things come out to you in the cards like that. So I do believe that it could have been one of the homeless people, probably two is what I'm getting. Let me ask if it was someone else involved, not a homeless person. Someone else, not a homeless person involved. Someone else, not a homeless person involved. Possibly, and I say that because here's the Five of Wands, and this is conflict. And I do remember reading that Jackson was kind of getting upset with people right before he passed because they were borrowing his van and he felt used. Looks like there was some conflict there. I would question who he was upset about. There was some girl too in there. There's two people in particular that I feel were involved in this, a man and a woman. Um, and there was conflict with them. And I do feel like they probably were involved, meaning involved in the homeless community. But I did get this card for maybe not homeless when I asked. So someone other than the people in the homeless community. Doesn't have to be someone directly in that homeless community. One may have been in it, one may have not. Let me ask for clarity. Homeless community, not homeless community. So people involved in this in Byron's homeless community. And I only say it because I'm getting like two people, and then I've got a lot of like people kind of fighting up down here. So involved in the homeless community. It looks like here's the Queen of Pentacles. We had the Queen of Wands earlier. Maybe the woman was involved in the homeless community. Let me ask, not in the homeless community. Or the woman may have had money and been the one not involved in the homeless community. Because Queen of Pentacles does have money. Not involved. Well, I don't know. Maybe they weren't involved because that's my truth queen. So I'm kind of feeling like there were two people, may not have necessarily been in that homeless community. I know the parents thought they were. They may have had a place to live. They may have been staying somewhere, even if it was a hotel or something. I don't necessarily know that they were homeless at the time that this happened, is what I'm getting. Why? Because Queen of Truth, Queen of Truth, Queen of Swords is my truth queen. She tells the truth. And the Queen of Pentacles looks like, she's not poor. She's not homeless. I think there was a little something else going on. A little something else going on. What I'm getting in my head right away is like it might have been people that were like supplying drugs and stuff. That's what I'm getting. Let me ask about that. Was this a drug supplier that this involved in Jackson's death? A drug supplier. This person I feel like has moved on, moved away. It is somebody that maybe travels. Well, meaning, just like Jackson did, he had a van. It may have been somebody else who also kind of travels around. I do feel like they left the area shortly after. I don't know if they're in the area anymore. That's weird. It took me in that direction. Um, but that's what I've got. And I don't necessarily have drugs. Let me ask again about that. I feel like they left the area. Tell me about this being someone who supplied drugs. And then we're going to get did not supply drugs, and we'll just compare them. Someone who supplied Jackson with drugs. Okay, we'll keep that one. Someone who did not supply Jackson with drugs. Someone who did not supply Jackson with drugs. Okay, that's a did not. So here's our did. Yeah, I think it probably was someone who did. Someone who did not. Look at that sneaky person sneaking away. I think it was. I think it was a drug dealer. We see the travel element too again. So I do feel with the Knight of Wands, I do feel like this person traveled around. I think they probably delivered stuff, is what I'm getting. Um, Very sneaky. I don't like this guy with all the swords. Very, very deceptive. There's a very strong deception here in what happened. Very strong deception. Hmm. Very not good person. I know people were saying there's like a seedy underbelly there. That's what I get. Definitely a thief. Thief. Yeah, it was a person. Okay. So the person, I feel like it was a person who got into the van and trashed it. So let's ask, is that the person who murdered? I'm just gonna call it what it was, Jackson. The person who also trashed the van. In which case you would think there'd be DNA in there. Was it the same person that trashed the van? Yeah, yeah, that's a definite yes. Yeah. So the person who trashed the van is the person who also who stole from him. That's the Seven of Swords. This is my classic thief card. What's the guy doing? He's stealing stuff, and he's got a bunch of swords too, sharp objects, right? Um, that was the person who broke into the van, also the one that murdered Jackson. That's what it looks like to me. And that was one of my questions. Okay. The parents think Jackson was chased from the van to where he died. So let me ask about that. Yes, for him being chased from the van to where he died. Was Jackson chased out into that? It's a cow pasture. Um, or not? Not chased. Not chased. Jackson not chased. Okay. So for the yes, for Jackson being chased, it does look like he may have been because there's the Emperor, and that is somebody who is very powerful and kind of a threat to a lot of people. And not chased, I've got this little page of swords trying to stand up to things, which probably Jackson did. Young guy trying to stand up to someone, but look at who he's trying to stand up to. The Emperor. So somebody with a lot more power than him, somebody with a lot more resources than him. I feel like he didn't really have a chance. I will say one thing that's coming to my mind is that they did follow Jackson's phone use or internet use, I'm sorry, and of that night. And he had gone to his normal websites, done his normal internet stuff. So it didn't sound like he was in drug induced psychosis. Let's ask, was Jackson in any sort of drug induced psychosis that night? We'll get a card for, we'll do a yes or no. Jackson drug-induced psychosis that night. We have 2 cards. For yes, and this is a no. All right, Jackson drug-induced psychosis that night. Okay. There is our yes cards. We've got, again, what's this lady coming in? I do feel like this can stand for drugs, pentacles. Sometimes they stand for drugs. May have done some drugs. I think he was in a very comfortable state. That's what I'm getting with the Empress. But he was just comfortable. Just enough to make him comfy. Ready to go to bed. She looks like she's about to fall asleep. No drugs. I feel like he did do some drugs. But not enough that would, I don't think it was psychosis. It's not what I'm saying. Not seeing psychosis there. All right, so I think he unfortunately did them before he passed. There was a phone that was found. This is the crazy thing. So during the 60 Minutes interview, they went out to the place with his mom, I believe, Jackson's mom. They went back to the place where Jackson was, I'm just going to call it murdered. That's what I see here. And they wanted to just look around, and they found a phone like half buried into the dirt. And they believe it's Jackson's phone. So, with that said, we're going to ask, was that phone Jackson's or not? So, was this Jackson's phone? Remember, his phone had been traveling around without him while he was passed. Was this Jackson's phone? It very well may have been. Here's the world. Just kind of how you communicate to others is what's coming to me. So let me say not Jackson's phone. That's a completion card, not Jackson's phone. No, I think it probably was, because there's my Wheel of Fortune too, and that's that means more information is going to come to his parents because of that phone, which is really good. You know, wheel spinning in your favor, and look at all this information coming out, all those books. So I think it was. Honestly, it may have been there since he died. I know they didn't find it at that time, but the world is a completion card, leaving this world. I know his phone traveled, and we do know that. There's just something about that pulling me in that's feeling like it's been there for quite a while. Okay. Here's what we're going to ask. Was the phone stolen from the van? Was the phone stolen from the van? Was Jackson's phone stolen from the van? The phone, I think, is a key component here. Very possibly this is the 10 of Pentacles, which again is a completion card. So let me ask about it being with him when he died. Phone taken when Jackson died. Was the phone taken when Jackson died? There's something funny about the phone. Yeah, I think so. Because here's like an activity and then someone going off into the night. So I think it was taken with it from him when he died. This is the Ace of Wands, which is a card that can stand for male. Also beaten, sometimes with a wand weapon. We do know he had a knife in his chest. So, let me ask more about the person who did this to Jackson. Tell me about the person who did this to Jackson. Person who did this to Jackson. It's that one. Okay, so Page of Cups is somebody who often is right in front of you acting. I feel like this person is um, acting like they have nothing to do with it. May have communicated with him though. So there may be some okay. So there may have been in the past some information on that phone, but this person may have gotten rid of it. That may have been their the reasoning for taking the phone and then bringing it back. I know it sounds weird, but I think from what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling is that that person wanted to make sure there was nothing on that phone that could tie them to him. But that doesn't make sense that you'd go back to the body if you were the killer. I know it happens sometimes. I've read true crime too. If you're really trying to act like you had nothing to do with it, you generally don't go back to the body. So let me ask about that. Was the phone put back at the body? Because I got this weird feeling with that world card that maybe that wasn't the case. Was the phone returned to the body? I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure the phone was taken away and returned. In which case, they said it didn't seem that Jackson was harmed in his van. Let me ask this. Was Jackson harmed at the spot they found him? I think there's a little different rhetoric on what happened. Was Jackson harmed where he was found? It may have been closer, a little bit closer. Okay, originally probably closer to the rest stop. Originally probably closer to the rest stop. There were 3 people there. We saw that before. There's something about that phone that's not right. The current story on the phone is not right. That's what I keep getting. The current situation with the phone is not right. Let me just ask more about that. Tell me more about this phone situation. The way they're like it traveled all around and somebody took it, and tell me more about this phone situation. Something about that's not right. All right, so here's the King of Pentacles. It does feel that somebody had it. Well, why would they bring it back? That part is eluding me. It makes no sense. Tell me why somebody would bring the phone back. Tell me about someone bringing the phone back. That is the Hanged Man. So that is things not moving. And that's the impression I keep getting with the phone. I don't know how that makes sense. I don't. But the impression I'm getting with the phone is that maybe the phone did not travel around and move. I know, it makes no sense when you consider what people are saying. But I'm not convinced the phone did travel around. How that makes sense, I don't know, because the phone was found pinging in different locations in Grafton. But what I get, let me just take the phone traveling around after Jackson's death and a phone not traveling around. There's something about it that doesn't make sense. The phone traveling around after Jackson's death. We'll get that card. And the phone not traveling around. There's something weird with this phone. The phone not traveling around after Jackson's death. Phone not traveling around. Okay, so phone traveling around is the Knight of Pentacles, and he's pretty stagnant. He's staying in one place. He's not really moving. When I ask about the phone not traveling around, I get the King of Wands, which is very active. So it makes me feel, hmm, they're like two. Honestly, it feels like the phone stayed. I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I kind of don't, for some reason, I'm getting the phone did not travel around. And I don't understand that. It makes no sense. I know they're saying it did. It pinged in all these different areas. I'm not sure. Maybe maybe that happened before he died. Let me ask, was this phone pinging before Jackson died? Because they're guessing he died July 23rd. Maybe he died after that. Did the phone ping before he passed? I'm really getting something weird with that. Hmm. Again, I feel like there were three people, and I feel like he got a call from them. Was the angel calling? And I feel like there were three people. Okay. He got a call from them. We get that. But if his internet use was normal that night, right? Wouldn't he have probably been on his phone? I feel like he contacted those people. The people that did this are on his phone. I keep getting that again and again. But I still don't know if the phone, I'm going to do a phone stayed. Um, phone traveled before he passed. Let me ask that. Phone traveled before he passed? Yes. We'll do a yes and no. Did the phone travel around before Jackson passed? That's the part that I'm just like, something there is not adding up. So this is a yes. And we're going to do a no. Did the phone travel around before his death? This would be a no to that. Okay. So yes to phone traveling around before his death. See, I think maybe could someone else have borrowed his phone? Maybe a woman even? Would he have let somebody do that? Then there was this fight between that woman's boyfriend and Jackson, husband and Jackson, something of that nature. Or the no. Here's the phone traveling around. The three situation again. And a woman. Okay, so I think the lady had the phone. I do. I don't know if he let her borrow it. I don't know what happened with that. They were driving around clearly with the phone, but at one point, there's something very confusing about the phone. I'll just put it this way. The current perception of what happened to the phone is not what happened with the phone. That's what I'm getting again and again and again. It's not. Three people involved knew him. Lady was friendly with him. Might have been like a jealous boyfriend, husband, people who did drugs as well, potentially. Um, I don't know what, again, I don't know how, I don't know Jackson's sexuality, but it feels like there may have been some sort of friendship, possibly more than friendship with that woman. Let me ask about that. Jackson's relationship to this woman. She popped in right away, right? Remember we got the Queen of Wands first thing. Um, Jackson's relationship to this woman. Yeah, so he did like her because this is my Knight of Cups. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing he liked her. And this man, it looks like, did not like that probably. So let me ask about Jackson's relationship with this man. Jackson's relationship with this man. Oh, that's the Hermit. At some point, I do feel like this man may have even guided him into that area. I feel like the man was older. I'm gonna ask for a little bit more on that man. Just some more descriptions of this man before we wrap this up. Man who murdered Jackson. At this point, that's what I'm saying. Again, I see this man as being somebody who is right in front of you, acting innocent. I see that again and again. He did disappear for a while, but I feel like he's very much acting innocent now. He did go away because we saw that with that Six of Swords, him going away um, right after this happened. But now I feel like he's right in front of everyone, just acting innocent. I don't feel like he's especially old. I know I saw an older man in the Hermit, but now I've got two younger guys, so I don't feel like he's especially old. I do feel like he's not dumb. Not dumb. He's definitely making it like he had nothing to do with it. And he really wants them to believe it was a suicide. And I mean, he's happy that that's what they're writing it off as. Of course he is. And we've got two major arcanas describing this guy. So these are the Fool and the Magician. Beginning. So again, this guy very much is a homeless guy. I mean, he's got his bag and stuff. So I know we said one was homeless and one wasn't, potentially, or he's traveling. He's living that sort of lifestyle. I do feel like that may be the situation, but there was a girl involved too. There's a girl involved. Hey, let me ask if they were fighting over this girl. Was the girl kind of the thing they were with the magician? I keep going back to he may have. I seem like cooking meth or doing. The magician can make things. I just feel like he did, maybe was a drug dealer or did maybe. I feel like he was like mixing and making the drugs. Um, were they fighting over this girl? Is that why we saw the girl? The girl popped in the very first thing. Well, there was a three. Then we saw the three situation. This guy also, I will say, he has kind of let his ships to sail and he's waiting for his ships to come in. And this one is refusing. So I feel like this one's waiting for his ships to come in. I almost feel like his money to come in. And this one's refusing. And he keeps trying to get more and being refused. It does feel like there's an element of drugs in here too. It does. There's an element of three. There is. I've seen that a million times throughout this reading. Um, three, two people involved in his death. And I think one may have been his drug dealer, possibly. Drug dealer. I'm not sure it was 100% the girl that they were fighting over. Feels like a little bit more of waiting for his money to come in, maybe, and didn't have it, or one of those situations. There's some sort of refusal here. Just ask a little bit more about that, a little bit more about what was behind this situation. A little bit more about what was behind this situation. Yeah, money, greed, not being paid. That's what I see. Money and greed and not being paid. So that's where I'm leaning with this one. Does look like he knew the girl on a friendly terms though. But I think the guy was the drug dealer. That's what I see. All right, so I'm going to leave that there. That's everything I got. It does look like murder to me. I mean, I don't see this being a suicide. And I hope they are able to find this person. I guess we could ask if will he be brought to justice? Will the murderer be brought to justice? Glad his parents are really pushing for this to be looked into. Will the murderer be brought to justice? I just want to take both of these. Well, probably. Probably. I think once they look at the drug dealer, this is my yes card. That's what I'm saying. Probably. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think more information will come. I think he's the guy who mixes up drugs. I don't know. I don't know much about drugs, but I feel like mixing liquids together, and I've got it there again, and I feel like yes. So I do feel like there's going to be. And what do we have again? We've got the theme of 3. We've seen that all through this reading. So I think it's not just one person. I think there'll be another on top of that that will also be found. Maybe the woman is highly into this situation as well, because we started off right away with a woman. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Take care, people. Bye bye.